There's a metal fuel tower over there, like a big fuel tower. I used to sleep in it.
You used to sleep in it?
Yeah. Thinking it would help me to access the sort of regional memories that are stored in the material of the tower. But I found that the tower acted as a huge tympanic membrane, and so people who were walking on the street 100 yards away talking, I could hear their conversations floating in the air right in front of me. Seriously, it was really spooky. It was really spooky. And then the railway men, we know when the Hatfield train crash happened and they went right up and down the railway lines, the railway men used it as a urinal, so I just couldn't use it after that. But it was a beautiful tower.
Yeah.
I remember leaving a joint in there and going back a year later and the joint was still just lying there. You know, and it was still psychoactive as well. Because it was like so dry in there, it was just perfect environment. It was really beautiful. Last time I was here I was thinking, God, if I was only still drinking and smoking dope, I'd come down here last thing at night with a blanket and some good nice rolls with bacon in them, half bottle of whiskey and a big bag of skunk weed and 20 cigarettes, and I'd sleep here. I'd wait till everyone had gone home, I'd climb in there, put my blanket down and just get pissed out of my head, roaring away and then getting stoned out of my head and then sleeping. It'd be great, but unfortunately I can't do that sort of thing anymore. It doesn't work. Anyway, when I was in Poland there was a vegetarian restaurant. I do not joke. There was a vegetarian restaurant in Gdansk called Fart.
Spelt?
F-A-R-T. Fart is the Polish word for luck.
No, I mean, it depends. I mean,
I'm inclined in this situation to be in favour of the police doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean there is certain
stuff with his hands up and then living in a closet, but at the moment that was afraid, like, he was going to do something then and that's it.
I see things, John, you know, I mean... I have a kind of theory that's perhaps partially based on Schopenhauer's notion of what he calls Platonic forms, which is that when I see something that is similar to the possibility of something else, I'm allowed to fly to that other place where that something else that is similar exists. When I took the train down here a few weeks ago, there's a little rusty narrow gauge railway that went through emergent birch woods, and I suddenly thought I was on the margins of Gdansk, because you get exactly that sort of thing there. It's funny because it's a kind of visionary flying and travelling across space and time at high speed that isn't dependent on startling your senses, getting intoxicated. It's on paying attention to specifics and specific forms and then seeing similarities, so that I could be somewhere else that has exactly those same details, or that I imagine has those same details. It's quite an intriguing thing. I argued it with Sinclair actually that time when he did that talk up in town, you know, that sort of Will Self-Sinclair thing, because I said that Blake's visionary world wasn't actually kind of a world of fantasy and fancy. It was actually looking at the real world in the real way, because when you look at the real world in the real way, it's actually very different and a lot stranger than the kind of ideological, codified way that we deal with reality, you know, the EastEnders universe, that sort of thing. And you know, he told me to shove off and said he'd get security if I didn't go away. You just think I'm a cunt, don't you? You think I'm a complete cunt. There'll be these Nick parties in High Wycombe where they'll get friends round, they'll all eat sausages on, you know...
German sausage.
Yeah, with plastic coating, and then they'll go, look at this, and everyone will go, look at that cunt. That's what they like in London, lads. You know what I mean? They're not like us, all we're interested in is the economic future.